Over thousands of years of evolution, birds have developed an extraordinary ability to cross entire continents, face violent storms, and challenge the strongest winds on journeys that seem impossible, enduring physical exhaustion and overcoming obstacles not only from nature but also imposed by us humans. Of all the creatures on the planet, they are the best adapted for long-distance travel. Some birds perform impressive flights, covering more than 500 miles from Alaska to New Zealand non-stop, without eating, and facing severe conditions. They demonstrate surprising endurance and navigation skills. This extreme journey raises a big question: how do these animals accomplish such a feat? There is a bird species that defies all limits of our imagination by making the longest journey in the animal kingdom. It follows the summer around the planet, traveling from one pole to the other every year. It flies an impressive 500 miles per year, crossing oceans and continents, facing extreme challenges to make the most of the longest and sunniest days on Earth. Its journey begins in the Arctic, where it breeds during the Northern Hemisphere summer, and continues to Antarctica, where it spends the Southern Hemisphere summer. In other words, this bird spends its entire life escaping winter and chasing summer. These trips are so extraordinary that, in just 1 year, it's as if this bird circled the planet 3 times. But what will really surprise you is discovering how many miles it migrates throughout its entire life. Stay until the end of this video and meet this and other spectacular birds. Migrations are outdoor spectacles, where every wing beat, every low flight reveals impressive endurance and determination that showcase the untamable power of nature. Migratory birds are living sculptures that challenge the skies, drawing invisible lines of determination and survival on the horizon. They are travelers without borders, journeying from snow-capped mountain peaks to vast plains and endless oceans. They follow invisible routes, gliding through the air with supernatural lightness. Between storms and calm, between the biting cold of the north and the warm embrace of the south, they move forward, driven by a force that defies time and fatigue. Their flight is endurance. It's a dance. It's poetry in motion. Today you will understand how such small birds manage to cross continents, facing storms and extreme challenges. You will learn about the evolutionary adaptations that allow them to navigate with incredible precision and survive in hostile conditions. And in the end, you will discover what drives them to follow this ancestral instinct, flying thousands of miles, moved by an invisible and powerful call. Get ready, because we're going to explore the epic adventure of birds and uncover the secrets behind their migrations in an exciting documentary. Welcome to unraveling the mysteries of bird migrations. Some birds travel thousands of miles without a map, compass, or GPS, relying solely on instinct. They face storms, predators, and even extreme exhaustion. This is the reality for millions of migratory birds around the world. Some of them cover unbelievable distances, crossing oceans, deserts, and mountains on journeys that push the limits of nature. Migration is a fascinating and essential behavior for about half of the nearly 10,000 known bird species on the planet. This phenomenon includes everything from delicate songbirds, whose songs fill the skies at dawn, to seabirds that cross entire oceans, as well as wading waterbirds and even some birds of prey. Each of these species has developed unique strategies to face the harsh demands of migration, adapting to environmental conditions and the challenges of their long journeys. The Northern Hemisphere hosts the greatest diversity of migratory birds during the summer. Temperate and Arctic regions offer an ideal environment for breeding, with abundant food and long days that favor chick growth. However, as winter approaches and resources become scarce, these birds embark on epic journeys in search of milder climates and abundant supplies, often crossing entire continents. Every spring and fall, millions of birds begin long and challenging journeys between their summer breeding grounds and the refuges where they will spend the winter. This aerial spectacle mainly unfolds at night, when the skies are calmer, wind currents are gentler, and the light of the moon and stars serves as a guide for these incredible winged travelers. Night migration is not mere chance, but a strategy refined by evolution, flying during the night. Birds avoid predators and the excessive heat of the sun, saving precious energy for the long journey. Celestial orientation is essential for them to follow their path accurately, a fascinating skill that allows small birds like thrushes and sparrows to travel thousands of miles without getting lost. Furthermore, many species use terrestrial landmarks and even the Earth's magnetic field to ensure they are headed in the right direction. We are in Alaska, a land where nature asserts itself with overwhelming force. Its climate, marked by harsh winters and short summers, creates a landscape of extremes where life must adapt to survive. At the height of the cold, the landscape is dominated by snow and ice, and sunlight almost disappears. But when summer arrives, everything changes. The ice retreats, the days lengthen, and the tundra awakens in an explosion of colors and life. It is during this short period of abundance that thousands of migratory birds find the perfect environment for one of the most important moments of their lives: reproduction. Among the travelers crossing the Alaskan sky, there is a bird that defies the impossible, a master of long distances, a survivor of the greatest journeys, the bar-tailed godwit, known by many names. It is called the bar-tailed godwit in some places, and by English speakers, or Limosa laponica in scientific language, but no name does justice to its most impressive feat: that of holding the record for the longest non-stop flight in the world every year. Not only does this bird migrate to Alaska to breed, among the migrants are godwits, snow geese, and swallows, all guided by the instinct to ensure the survival of the next generation before the return of the cold. The midnight sun facilitates the search for food, while the tundra offers protection from predators. The bar-tailed godwit measures between 5 and 16 inches long. It may seem small, but its wingspan is impressive, stretching from 5 to 5 inches, which is useful for long-distance flight. Females of this species are visibly larger than males, weighing between 7 and 2 ounces, while males weigh between 7 and 1 ounces. This difference is no accident. The larger size of the females gives them more endurance for long journeys, ensuring they can face the challenges of migration with even greater strength. These birds inhabit specific areas depending on the season. During the breeding season, they live in Arctic regions, especially on the northern coasts of Europe, Asia, and North America, such as Alaska. These areas consist of marshes, shallow coasts, and wetlands where the birds find an abundance of food like small invertebrates, which are essential for feeding their chicks. Their annual journey is a true testament to incredible endurance, where short, intense summers provide a fertile environment to raise their young. It is like a flying machine adapted to perform non-stop flights of thousands of miles. Before migration, it doubles its fat reserves, increases pectoral muscles, and shrinks non-essential organs to save energy. Its aerodynamic body reduces wind resistance, and its heart pumps oxygen efficiently. Unlike other birds, it maintains steady wing beats, and without relying on air currents. Additionally, it uses the Earth's magnetic field and weather patterns to navigate precisely. These adaptations make it one of the greatest travelers in the animal kingdom. At the end of summer, when conditions become harsher and resources start to dwindle, the godwits embark on one of the most extraordinary journeys in the animal kingdom. They migrate to the southern hemisphere, specifically to New Zealand, where the mild winter climate offers an ideal refuge. This migration can cover impressive distances, and in 2021, a godwit was recorded, making the longest non-stop migratory flight ever documented, a journey of more than 7,500 miles. Between Alaska and New Zealand, crossing the vast Pacific Ocean in 11 consecutive days. In the skies of Europe, especially on the Iberian Peninsula and southern France, and also in northern Africa is home to the world's most numerous migratory birds, which travel in large flocks that can reach millions of individuals. In a true spectacle of nature, a hypnotic dance in the sky defies logic and enchants. The eyes of thousands, sometimes millions, of European starlings gather for their annual journeys. These small birds move as a single organism, drawing fluid and ever-changing shapes against the golden dusk. They ripple through the air like a living cloud, expanding and contracting in a synchronized ballet that seems choreographed by an invisible force. The sound of their wings cutting through the wind creates a soft and immersive melody, a whisper that echoes the grandeur of instinct and unity. Every flight, every sudden turn is a demonstration of pure harmony, where the beauty and intelligence of nature meet. The sky becomes a canvas, and the starlings' brushstrokes of shadow and light, composing a spectacle that transcends time and understanding, leaving any observer breathless. Before this wild and sublime choreography, they fly together in search of milder climates and better feeding conditions. During fall and spring, these birds cover great distances, taking advantage of seasonal changes to ensure their survival. In winter, they often gather in urban areas and agricultural zones, where they find shelter and abundant food. One of the most impressive characteristics of starlings is the aerial spectacle known as murmuration, where thousands or even millions of birds fly together in undulating formations in the sky. This phenomenon creates hypnotic patterns and is the result of incredible coordination among the flock's individuals. This behavior serves to confuse predators like falcons and hawks, making it difficult for them to target a single bird. Moreover, it is believed that murmuration also helps communication among group members and in choosing safe places to land. The global population of starlings is estimated in the hundreds of millions. However, many do not survive migration. It is estimated that about 20 to 30% of starlings do not complete the journey due to various factors, such as exhaustion, hunger, predators, and adverse weather changes. Additionally, in some regions, these birds face threats caused by human activities, such as habitat loss and pollution. These birds are extremely social and communicative, forming huge flocks. Even outside migration season, their group flight is coordinated so precisely that each bird monitors the movement of 6 or 7 nearby neighbors, allowing quick reactions without collisions. Starlings have impressive vocal abilities and can imitate environmental sounds, including the songs of other birds and even human noises. Despite their beauty in the sky, in some places like the United States, they are considered an invasive species due to their impact on native species and crops. The migration of starlings is one of nature's most impressive phenomena. It is a unique visual spectacle they provide in the sky, reinforcing the incredible intelligence and adaptability of these birds. Unlike the European starlings, which migrate in large flocks, some birds prefer to make their long journeys alone, facing strong winds, predators, and weather changes on their own. One example is the common blackbird, a discreet animal that prefers solitary migrations among the many birds that enchant with their presence and behavior. The common blackbird, scientifically known as Turdus merula, is a true protagonist of European nature, with its entirely black plumage in males, the characteristic vibrant yellow beak and eyes outlined by an equally golden ring. It is easily recognizable and almost impossible to ignore. Females, on the other hand, have a more subdued coloration with brown feathers and a duller appearance. But no less elegant, this species is present throughout almost all of Europe, extending also into parts of North Africa and Asia. Their favorite habitats are varied, from dense forests to urban parks, gardens, and suburban areas. The common blackbird is incredibly adaptable and feels at home both in the wild and in large cities. Unlike many migratory birds that face transcontinental journeys, the common blackbird exhibits a more complex and less predictable migratory behavior. In many regions of Western and Southern Europe, this species is a year-round resident, with no need to migrate. However, in the northern and eastern parts of the continent, especially where winters are harsher, blackbirds tend to migrate to warmer areas, often heading to southern Europe or North Africa in search of milder temperatures and a greater food supply. This migration, however, is not done in large flocks like other species, and generally occurs more discreetly and individually. The partial nature of these migrations, where part of the population migrates and part remains, is one of the aspects that make the common blackbird even more fascinating from a behavioral standpoint. A curious trait of the common blackbird is its ability to adapt to urban environments. Over the decades, this bird has learned to live alongside humans, taking advantage of the opportunities cities offer, such as greater food availability, fewer natural predators, and a milder climate thanks to the urban heat effect. Its song has even adapted. In cities, blackbirds sing louder and at different frequencies to be heard above the urban noise. This behavioral evolution shows not only the intelligence of the species, but also the surprising ability of wildlife to reinvent itself in the face of changes in the modern world. The common blackbird, with its elegant presence and unmistakable song, is a living reminder that nature manifests everywhere, showing its strength and charm. When it comes to speed, one bird stands out. The Eurasian woodcock is a remarkable creature, known not only for the distance it covers, but also for the impressive speed it reaches during its journey. This species mainly breeds in forested and swampy areas of Europe, where the cooler, wetter environment is ideal for feeding and breeding. Eurasian woodcocks prefer hard-to-reach terrain, such as regions with dense vegetation, which offers protection against predators. At the end of summer, the Eurasian woodcock begins an epic migration southward, covering great distances all the way to sub-Saharan Africa. During this trip, it travels more than 460 miles 670 kilometers, flying non-stop for long periods. One of the most impressive aspects of the Eurasian woodcock's migration is its flight speed, which can reach up to 60 miles per hour, 96 kilometers per hour. This makes it the fastest migratory bird in terms of continuous flight speed, a significant advantage for covering long distances in a reduced time. Upon reaching sub-Saharan Africa, Eurasian woodcocks find a milder climate and an abundance of food essential for their survival. These birds feed on insects, earthworms, and other small invertebrates, and the low-lying, swampy vegetation areas of southern Africa provide the perfect habitat for this type of diet. After spending the colder months in the south, the woodcocks return to Europe to breed, completing an impressive migratory cycle that is crucial for the species' survival. The speed of the Eurasian woodcock is the result of a combination of anatomical and physiological adaptations that maximize its flight efficiency. Its long, narrow wings are aerodynamic, providing lift and minimizing air resistance, which facilitates fast and long flights. Its musculature, especially in the wings, is strong and specialized to support fast and continuous flights, allowing it to maintain high speeds during long migrations. Additionally, it takes advantage of favorable air currents and adjusts its flight according to weather conditions, enabling direct and efficient journeys. These adaptations make the Eurasian woodcock not only fast, but also resilient, capable of facing the challenges of its non-stop migratory journey on every continent. Birds undertake migrations. Africa is a continent of great importance for bird migration. serving both as a starting point and a destination for various species that travel thousands of miles in search of better climate and food conditions. Among Africa's exotic birds, one stands out for its migration. The Egyptian vulture is one of the most fascinating birds of prey in the world, recognized for its striking appearance, surprising intelligence, and impressive migratory skills. It is small compared to other vultures, standing out with a white body, black wings, a vibrant yellow face, and a sharp gaze, and that reveals its opportunistic nature. This species inhabits areas from southern Europe to northern Africa and southern Asia. It undertakes one of the most challenging migrations in the animal kingdom, crossing the dreaded Sahara Desert to escape the European winter and find better conditions in sub-Saharan Africa. On the journey, it covers thousands of miles, often alone or in small groups, using thermal currents to glide and conserve energy during the Sahara crossing, where the scarcity of food and water can be fatal. Efficient flight strategy is essential for survival. This vulture is not only a master of flight, but also one of the few animals known to use tools. It breaks ostrich eggs with stones, an impressive demonstration of intelligence in the bird world. Upon reaching its destination in sub-Saharan Africa, the Egyptian vulture finds new food sources, taking advantage of carcasses and remains left by larger predators. Like other vultures, it plays a crucial ecological role by cleaning the environment and preventing the spread of disease as spring approaches. It begins the journey back to Europe or the Middle East for the breeding season, repeating a survival cycle that has been perfected over thousands of years. A winged creature has a close relationship with Africa, where it spends much of the year. The white stork is one of the most well-known migratory birds in the world. It is a large bird with white and black plumage and long reddish legs. It undertakes one of nature's most spectacular migrations, traveling from Europe and Asia to various African regions. Especially the Sahara and sub-Saharan Africa during the European winter, thousands of storks leave their breeding grounds and fly thousands of miles in search of food and milder climate. The migratory route of these birds is one of the most studied in the world. They avoid long sea crossings, preferring routes overland, flying over the Strait of Gibraltar between Spain and Morocco, or the Bosporus in Turkey, depending on their origin. Upon arriving in Africa, many settle in regions like the Sahel, where they find abundant food, such as insects, small vertebrates, and food scraps in urban areas. Some storks even reach South Africa, traveling more than 200 miles on their journeys. A stunning bird that also lives in Africa shows its charms elsewhere, demonstrating incredible adaptability to live. Flamingos inhabit a variety of habitats around the world, mainly in tropical and subtropical regions. The pink flamingos that migrate to Rio Lagartos in Mexico are one of the region's most spectacular attractions. Located on the Yucatan Peninsula, this site hosts one of the largest flamingo populations in the Americas, which arrive to feed and reproduce in its shallow, nutrient-rich waters. These elegant birds, known for their vibrant coloration and long, slender legs, they make seasonal movements in search of ideal feeding and nesting conditions. These animals do not undertake long-distance migrations like other birds. They make regional movements within the Caribbean, moving between islands and coastal areas. In Rio Lagatos, they find the perfect environment to feed on small crustaceans, mollusks, and microscopic algae, which contain carotenoids, natural pigments that give them their iconic pink color. During the dry season from November to May, flocks of thousands of flamingos arrive at the site, where they spend hours standing in the water, filtering food with their curved beaks. Their long legs allow them to walk in shallow water while stirring up the muddy bottom in search of prey. This behavior is essential to maintaining the ecological balance of the region, helping control populations of aquatic organisms. Also in America, a small but fast, beautiful, and fascinating bird undertakes a lesser-known migration compared to other birds. Colombia is a true paradise for hummingbirds, or colibris, as they are also known. The country is home to more than 160 different species of these incredible birds, which represents almost half of all known species in the world. This is due to Colombia's diverse ecosystems, ranging from the tropical rainforests of the Amazon and Choco to the icy mountains of the Andes and the dry valleys inland. Amazonian hummingbirds do not undertake long-distance migrations like some larger birds. They are known for their seasonal movements within specific areas, usually moving within the vast Amazon region and some neighboring areas of Central and South America. Hummingbirds adapt to seasonal changes in flowering and nectar availability, which leads them to change locations throughout the year. In the Amazon, hummingbird migrations are often linked to the abundance of flowers and nectar availability, which is their main food source. During the rainy season, when plant flowering is most abundant, hummingbirds disperse over wider areas of the rainforest, taking advantage of resources offered by a wide variety of plants. With the arrival of the dry season, flowers become less abundant, which can cause hummingbirds to migrate to other regions in search of food. Some species may also move to higher elevations or to denser tropical forest regions, where nectar is still available. Some Amazonian hummingbirds exhibit nomadic behavior, meaning they do not follow a fixed route but move according to fluctuations in food availability, which can be influenced by factors such as temperature, precipitation, and even human activity that can alter the ecological balance of certain regions. While hummingbirds move only within the greater Amazon, another bird crosses the entire planet. It undertakes the longest migration not only among winged animals but among all creatures on Earth. The Arctic tern. When it comes to great migrations, it is one of the most extraordinary birds on the planet. And it's no coincidence. Small with a slender body, white and grey plumage, long wings, and a bright red beak. It may seem delicate at first glance, but behind this elegant appearance hides a true endurance machine. This bird is famous for undertaking the longest migration in the entire animal kingdom, crossing the planet from pole to pole on a journey that borders on the impossible. The Arctic tern lives a life divided between extremes, the Arctic summer and the Antarctic summer. flying distances of up to 43,500 miles per year. In other words, it spends the whole year chasing the sun, enjoying more daylight than any other living being on Earth. During the breeding season, the Arctic tern settles in the coldest and most remote regions of the Northern Hemisphere. Its colonies spread across coastal areas and islands of the Arctic, such as Greenland, Iceland, northern Canada, Alaska, and parts of northern Europe and Russia. It is in these inhospitable places, where summer is short but intense, that it builds its nests on the ground, often among rocks or sparser vegetation. Always close to food sources, the pair of this species is extremely faithful both to each other and to the nesting site, returning year after year to the same spot to raise their chicks. Territory defense is carried out with surprising courage. These small birds even confront much larger predators to protect their eggs and chicks, diving from the sky in quick and precise attacks. At the end of the breeding season in the Arctic, the tern begins an epic journey toward the far south of the planet, heading to Antarctica. It flies in a pattern resembling and shape, taking advantage of favorable air currents and food-rich zones. During this trip, it crosses entire oceans, faces storms, winds, freezing temperatures, and vast deserts with almost unbelievable navigation precision. When the Antarctic summer ends, it returns north, completing a cycle that repeats throughout its life, which can last more than 30 years. In total, a single Arctic tern can fly every year, the equivalent of 3 trips around the Earth, multiplying its years of life by the miles traveled. Per year, they cover an average of about 1.24 million miles annually. This is equivalent to making about 90 full laps around the Earth for the Arctic tern. It is a true migratory phenomenon, small in size but giant in endurance, navigation skills, and survival strategy. This migratory behavior is not only a physical feat, it is an incredibly efficient survival strategy by following the summer in both hemispheres. The Arctic tern ensures constant access to abundant food like fish and small crustaceans, which it catches with quick and precise dives into the ocean. Also avoiding harsh winters, its orientation ability, according to scientific studies, involves visual quays, Earth's magnetic fields, and even a kind of internal map, and that guides it with millimeter precision. It is hard to find another animal that so perfectly represents the spirit of freedom, endurance, and connection between the extremes of our planet. The Arctic tern is literally a world traveler, but the life of these and all birds is not only made of victories. The challenges faced during migration are immense. From unexpected storms to obstacles created by humans like skyscrapers and artificial lights, which can disorient night travelers, sudden temperature changes also pose risks to these creatures. But it doesn't stop there. Extreme fatigue punishes their bodies, and the constant threat of predators lurking for their weaknesses. Dehydration and hunger are constant enemies, forcing them to stop in strategic areas to recover their energy before continuing the journey. But of all threats, global warming has proven to be the most worrying when facing unexpected storms. During migration, birds adopt instinctive strategies to survive. They interrupt flight, seek shelter in protected areas, and conserve energy until the weather improves. In flocks, they act, collectively changing direction or temporarily dispersing. Some try to adjust their route or altitude to avoid strong winds, but the destruction of stopover habitats makes this adaptation difficult. Storms also affect their orientation, causing them to get lost or become malnourished, even with these natural defenses. The increase in intensity and frequency of extreme weather events is pushing migratory birds to the limit, threatening their survival and altering ancient routes during migration. Birds face extreme physical exhaustion, hunger, and dehydration. They fly thousands of miles without rest, using all the energy stored in fat reserves. When the effort exceeds expectations, the body starts to fail. Lack of food along the route causes weight loss, weakens muscles, and compromises flight. Especially in young birds, dehydration also becomes critical as many freshwater areas are disappearing. Without safe places to land and refuel, many birds collapse physically and die. These difficulties are worsened by climate change and destruction of natural habitats, making each migration a true survival test. Migratory birds today face one of the greatest threats in their history. Climate change. Global warming is profoundly altering global climate patterns, directly interfering with the natural signals birds use to start their migrations. In the past, the change of seasons was predictable: spring, summer, fall, and winter followed a steady rhythm. But now, with the climate disrupted, many migratory species are leaving too early or too late, arriving at their destinations when food is either not yet available or already depleted. These changes break the cycle of synchronization with the environment, putting birds in a scenario of scarcity and instability right upon arrival. When they most need to feed and prepare for reproduction, the result is a significant drop in survival rates and the ability to produce new generations. Besides climate imbalance, habitat loss has become one of the biggest villains of migration. Natural areas that served as resting, feeding, and breeding spots are being destroyed or fragmented by human activities such as intensive farming, expansion of urban areas, and infrastructure construction for migratory birds. These spots along the route are literally mandatory stops. Without them, flying thousands of miles becomes a suicide mission. Imagine a car trip through a desert without gas stations. That's what many birds are facing. Interrupted routes with no safe areas to rest and refuel, and those that escape physical destruction can still suffer from pollution, especially plastics, pesticides, and heavy metals that contaminate water and food, affecting the health of birds even when the habitat still seems intact at first glance. The impact of these factors on reproduction is devastating. Many breeding sites, especially in polar and temperate regions, are changing drastically. Snow melts early or storms occur out of season, destroying nests and killing chicks. The lack of synchronization between the arrival of birds and the availability of food to feed their chicks becomes fatal. Chicks starve before even leaving the nest, and even when adults survive. Their physiological stress affects fertility, further reducing reproductive success in some populations. Birth rates have dropped to such low levels that scientists are already talking about an imminent demographic collapse. What was once a precise dance of nature is now a climate chaos, where birds try in vain to adapt to a world changing too fast. For their millennial routes along migratory paths. Birds face not only natural and physiological challenges, one of today's greatest dangers are obstacles created by humans themselves. Structures like skyscrapers and towers, combined with light pollution, disorient especially birds that migrate at night, leading to collisions and exhaustion, deforestation and wetland destruction. Eliminate essential places for rest and feeding during migration, forcing birds to fly longer distances. Out without support. These artificial obstacles break the natural balance of migratory routes, putting species survival at risk. Preserving these pathways is essential to ensure that birds can continue their migrations. To illustrate the issue, it is estimated that millions of starlings die annually during their migrations. However, exact numbers may vary, depending on various factors such as weather conditions, losses caused by collisions with human structures, like buildings and power lines, and the availability of food and shelter along migratory routes. One of the biggest causes of mortality for these migratory birds is linked to light pollution and artificial obstacles, and that can lead to fatal accidents. In some regions, especially during mass migrations like in the fall, deaths can be significant, with hundreds of birds dying in a single night. Another example are geese and swans that migrate long distances between northern Europe and Africa. It is estimated that thousands of geese and swans perish annually due to extreme weather conditions, lack of food, or even collisions with wind turbines and power lines. The goose flyway, a popular migratory route, has become increasingly risky due to the increase of human infrastructure. Along the way, studies suggest that more than 50,000 birds die each year. Areas with a high concentration of wind turbines, especially in countries like the Netherlands and France, where migratory birds cross these zones. Seabirds like the Arctic tern are among the most affected when traveling between the Arctic and the South Atlantic, crossing vast and dangerous oceans, facing storms and food scarcity. A study conducted by scientists in the United Kingdom revealed that about 10% of the population dies annually during migration. The main cause of these deaths is the difficulty in finding adequate food during ocean crossings and the challenges of surviving the impact of climate change, which alters feeding patterns and seawater temperatures. It is estimated that about 100 million migratory birds die each year due to light pollution and other infractions caused by human development. These deaths affect species worldwide, especially in densely populated regions, such as the United States, Europe, and parts of Asia. These tragedies are a reminder that to save these birds and ensure they can continue their journeys, it is necessary to act quickly. To mitigate the impacts caused by our presence on the planet, studies indicate that more than 40% of migratory birds worldwide are experiencing population decline. species that for centuries have crossed oceans and continents, now find themselves trapped by a planet increasingly hostile to migration, which has always been a symbol of resistance and renewal, is at risk of becoming a path marked by absence, silence, and extinction. Preserving these roots is not just about protecting the birds, it is about keeping alive the natural cycles that connect entire ecosystems. From one continent to another, because when birds stop flying, something greater breaks the invisible harmony that sustains life on Earth. Still, driven by an irresistible biological need, these birds continue to defy the impossible, crossing oceans, mountains, and deserts to ensure their survival. The migration of birds is a living proof of nature's resilience and ingenuity, a grand spectacle that continues to fascinate scientists and observers worldwide. In a rapidly changing world, bird migrations remain one of nature's greatest spectacles, a phenomenon that connects continents and crosses borders. However, as we have seen, these incredible journeys are increasingly threatened both by natural causes and by obstacles that we humans impose on the environment, from the destruction of vital habitats to light pollution and collisions with our structures. But there is still hope. We can take simple yet powerful measures to preserve these birds and their migratory routes. This includes creating natural refuges, protecting wetlands and resting areas, reducing light pollution in cities, and raising awareness about the impacts of large infrastructures on birds. By protecting nature and migratory birds, we are not only saving a species, but also ensuring that the life cycle and ecological balance of our planet continue to thrive.